You've seen them, right? Those vocal EQ presets like male rock or female pop. They promise this perfect one-click fix. But here's the thing. That magic button, it usually fails. So today, we're going to break down exactly why a real professional workflow is always going to sound better than just slapping on a generic preset.
This quote it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? A preset is completely static. It's a one-size-fits-all deal. But think about it. Every single vocal performance is totally unique, it's dynamic. It's just a fundamental mismatch from the get-go.
All right, so the lure of the preset. What makes these things so tempting anyway? Well, if you're just starting out as a producer, or honestly, even if you're a pro on a super tight deadline, they seem like the perfect solution. They're promising this quick, easy shortcut to a polished, professional sound.
It's the myth of the magic button. The idea that you can get these instant, radio-ready results, and you don't even have to understand all the complicated science of audio engineering. And yeah, it feels like an easy win, for sure. But that convenience, it almost always comes at a price. And that price is a truly professional, unique vocal sound. Okay, so when presets fail, why do they fail? Well, we touched on it before. A preset is a static solution, but you're applying it to a dynamic problem. It's kind of like trying to use the exact same key to unlock 1,000 completely different doors. It's just not going to work.
Let's look at why one size really fits none here. First up, your microphone choice. A preset has no idea what mic you're using, and every single one sounds different. Then there's the proximity effect. You know, that huge low-end boost you get when a singer gets right up on the mic? The preset can't account for that, it assumes a fixed distance. What about your room acoustics? Every room has its own weird resonant peaks and feedback spots. The preset can't possibly know the physics of your space. And maybe most importantly, the vocalist's own timbre. Every voice has a totally unique harmonic structure. A preset is just making a broad guess. When you add all this up, you can see why a generic preset becomes completely unreliable.
So all of this has actually led to what you could call the great EQ debate in the audio community. And believe it or not, it's not just about what technique is best. It really gets down to a major philosophical split about the very purpose of EQ.
So you've got two main schools of thought here. In one corner, you have the purists. These folks believe a recording should be preserved exactly as the artist intended. For them, EQ is a corrective tool, and that's it. You only use it to fix flaws, like a bad room sound or weird speaker response. The idea of slapping a pop preset on something, it's almost sacrilegious to them. But in the other corner, you have the pragmatists. They see presets as a totally fine starting point, and for them, EQ is a creative tool. Their goal is simple, just make it sound better, by any means necessary.
All right, beyond the template. So if presets are basically a trap and the whole community is divided on this, what are we supposed to do? Where do we go from here? Well, the answer is to move beyond the template. It's time to learn a systematic, professional workflow that you can actually use on any vocal in pretty much any situation.
Okay, check this out. This simple 3-step process is going to help you build a great vocal sound every single time. Step 1, the filter. The very first thing you do is grab a high-pass filter and just cut out all that low-end rumble and noise below about 100 Hz. Boom, that immediately cleans up your signal. Step 2 is the surgery. This is where you use subtractive EQ with a really narrow Q, that's just the width of the EQ band, to hunt down and cut any of those nasty, muddy, or boxy frequencies. You'll usually find those hanging out between 200 and 600 Hz. And finally, step 3, the shine. This is where you can use a gentle high shelf boost, maybe above 8 or 10 kHz, just to add that gorgeous professional air and clarity.
Now, the really crucial point here is about subtractive versus additive EQ. Professionals almost always start with subtractive EQ. The first priority is to get rid of what you don't need, all that mud, the boxiness, the rumble. Just take it out. By cutting those problem frequencies first, you're not just cleaning up the vocal, you're also creating more headroom, which basically means the vocal has more space to breathe and sit nicely in the mix before you've even boosted a single thing. It's a huge deal.
All right, so now we're crafting your own sound. And of course, you have to remember that EQ doesn't just exist in a vacuum, right? It's a super powerful piece of the puzzle for sure, but it's still just one piece of a much, much bigger picture. A real pro vocal sound comes from a whole chain of effects, all working together. You might kick things off with some light pitch correction. Then you'd bring in that high-pass filter we just talked about. After that, you'll probably use some compression to control the dynamics. Maybe one compressor to catch the sharp peaks, the transients, and another one to do some overall leveling. Then you bring in our surgery and shiny cues.
And to finish it off, you might use a de-esser to tame any of those harsh S sounds, that sibilance, before finally adding some reverb and delay to give it some space. See? Every single step has a very specific job to do.
And honestly, this right here is the big mindset shift. The goal isn't to find the perfect preset. The real goal is to create your own. Because the most effective preset you'll ever use isn't going to be something you find in a drop-down menu. No way. It's going to be one you build yourself, a personalized starting point for a specific singer with their specific microphone in their specific room. That is a legitimate, time-saving professional tool.
Okay, the final filter. So after everything we've talked about, what's the one big thing you should really walk away with?
It's this. The most powerful tool in the signal chain is the human ear. Look, all the technology is amazing, it really is, but it is all secondary to your single most important tool, your own ears. The real skill here isn't clicking a preset, it's developing critical listening. It's learning to actually hear that boxiness around 400 Hz, or to identify that harshness up at 5 kHz. No piece of software on earth can do that for you.
So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you reach for an EQ, are you just searching for a preset, or are you actually listening for the problem? Making that shift from just being a preset user to becoming a true sound crafter, that is what will make all the difference in your music, I promise.